Hello, beautiful butterflies. Thank you so much for tuning in to season 2, episode 10 of Candid Conversations. Today's episode, we are going to be talking about the power of hope. Hope is our framework here at the Beauty Beyond the Mirror that stands for healing our present experiences. We have a beautiful special guest today, Antoinette Nipper, who is a licensed clinical supervisor in social work. And we are super excited. We're going to unpack just the beauty of healing, the beauty of finding hope in your healing, and the importance of partnering not just with a licensed therapist, but also with a coach to actually balance you being able to unpack things that happen from your past and providing you with some accountability to unpack and journey through what is happening in your right now, your present. Okay. Also, there's a beautiful announcement that I'm going to announce today in today's episode as well. Something that I've released so that you can take your hope and your wellness into your own hands. I'm super excited to present this to you today, and I hope that you find and gain some fruit from today's episode. As always, remember you are infinitely loved, you are abundantly blessed, you are heavily protected, baby, and there's nothing that you can do about it. Make sure that you like this video, comment, and subscribe, and make sure that you are tapped into our garden on all social media platforms. That would be Instagram, YouTube here, Facebook, as well as TikTok, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. We have many gardens, all things at the Beauty Beyond the Mirror. I wish you well. Thank you for watching. Hello, everybody. Welcome to season 2, episode 10 of Candid Conversations. Today, we are going to be talking about the power of hope, healing our past and present experiences. Here at Candid Conversations, this is a safe space for you to come and emote and talk about various topics that might affect or impact your emotional wellness on a day-to-day basis. This is a safe space for us to talk, for us to chat, for us to bring the tea and drop some gems like homegirls that we are. The Beauty Beyond the Mirror is a space dedicated to women who actually need a safe space or community to deal with and journey through life. I am your founder and your host, Shakira Sim Sampson, and today we are joined by a beautiful, beautiful special guest, Antoinette Nipper. Antoinette is a licensed clinical professional supervisor, social worker, okay? Very long title, but she is the boss that all of those things mean, okay? We're going to bring Antoinette on, and we're going to get into the topic, the power of hope. Hi, Antoinette.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming back. I'm so excited to have you.
Absolutely. I had to make it back. Absolutely.
I love that. We are so excited to have you here at the Beauty Beyond the Mirror and Candid Conversations. You are all the things. I know we have your title, but I want you to tell us a little bit about you before we dive into the topic.
Yes. So I'm 35 in clinical practice for myself. I am a licensed clinical social worker. I'm now a supervisor, which just means that I'm able to supervise other social workers who are interested in becoming, a clinical practitioner. So I've been doing this since 2021 as far as being in private practice for myself. I absolutely love it. So that's a little bit about what I do in private practice.
I love that. I mean, business owner out here making a difference in our community. You have always just been like a girl's girl. You've always been like that cheerleader, that person that's gonna like see the light in you and like point it out and pull it out. I do want to share with our Candid Conversations viewers and listeners that Antoinette is the reason Candid Conversations exists. In 2021, we were talking and she was like, you should just like go live and like just have these conversations. We've been talking about good stuff. Just go live and have this conversation. And I was like, I'll do it if you do it with me. And she was like, I don't mind. I'll come on there. So she was our very, very, very first guest. She is the reason why, she saw something in me that was like, girl, talk. Go be chatty patty out there. Because what you're saying, we need it. And so I appreciate you for pushing me into purpose. And because of that, I've been able to like use this platform to help others as well. And so I just want to thank you and give you your flowers.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. You do such an amazing job. And people need to have these spaces to be able to talk, with people who have shared and similar experiences. So absolutely. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. What I'm doing right now is I'm just going through and sharing the live. So I am sharing the live with viewers so that they can come on in the room. I'm trying to remember some names here.
Okay. Come on in, y'all. Let's have a good conversation.
Indeed. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. All right. All right. So let's dive in. Let's dive into all the things. Can you've already introduced yourself, but share with us what led you to become a licensed clinical professional social worker and what influenced you to get that extra supervisor?
And so, like how when you're in high school and they're trying to prepare you for the real world in college, and they're like, okay, well, what are you good at? And I'm like, well, I like helping people. I like talking to people. And so I went to South Carolina State University. Shout out to South Carolina State.
Yes.
Went to South Carolina State University. And I believe my degree at first, my major was psychology. And then I was like, you know what? I think social work is a better fit. And so I went and pursued my social work degree, got my BSW, and then I went to USC, and I received my master's of social work there. And so just decided to climb the ladder. Like, one thing about me, I've always been a very ambitious person. So once I realized, like, okay, well, I got this, and now I'm supposed to get this, and I'm supposed to get this. And I realized, in order to be as impactful as I wanted, to be, I was going to need those extra credentials. And so that was that push and that drive, which was to continue to climb this ladder, get all you can get, become all you can be. The very thing that I try to inspire for other people is the very thing that I try to implement for myself. So that's where, that's how I was, able to obtain my supervision credential.
I love that. You are like Black girl magic. Like what did is it Beyonce? She's like, I dream it, I work hard, I grind till I own it. You, baby.
Yes.
You.
Yes. Yes. If there's something else on the table, that means I'm not doing enough. I got to get the rest of this stuff that's on this table.
That's
so absolutely, that's me. That's my mindset.
Absolutely. I love that so much. So this episode is about the power of hope. Okay. What does hope mean to you, both personally and professionally?
When I think of healing our past and our present experiences, I think we don't give it enough credit like we should. And even with my business, it's called Healing Roots Therapy, because I am really big on identifying the root of a thing. Like, what causes you to show up the way that you're showing up? Not for us to judge it or to condemn it, but if we're self-aware, then we'll know exactly like what's our plan on to be able to heal and to do the work, And I think a lot of times we don't sit and we don't pause with ourselves long enough to have an understanding like, okay, but what's going on with me? Even when we think about our present experiences, right? Like, you wake up, your mood is a little low. And I'm not saying that we're just not going to have a random bad day, but sometimes just checking in and just saying like, okay, Antoinette, like, what do you need today? You haven't been your best self. Like, what's happening? And so I really do think, when we talk about healing, I do think we have to go back to those core wounds and some of those core memories at times, starting from there versus just implementing random coping skills and we haven't identified the root of a thing yet. So
I love what you said. Like, making your healing personal instead of introducing random coping skills. That's so important because the things that harmed us are unique to us, right? So if I say like what works for me is going outside and grounding, well, that might not work for you,
Right.
because that might not be the best thing or tool, if you will, to help me get from here to there.
Right.
There is so much, like, I can't even find the word right now, but so much importance in unpacking like what happened so that we can either one, make peace or find understanding with how we are today, why we are wired the way we are today, and what influences our actions today, so that we can move forward and stop reliving that cycle. So I just appreciate so much the work that you do, because you do the hard work of like, okay, let's break down this wall, let's disarm, and let's break down this wall. Let's forget everything that social media, upbringing, mom and pa and them that told you not to do. And let's actually get to the root of you, because that wherein is where your hope lies, in the root
Right.
of who you are, not in who you were taught to be, right? And to
Right.
assimilate to. So I love
Yes.
that. I love that so, so much. Um, I have another question for you.
Okay.
So, as for me, as a certified emotional wellness coach,
Okay.
I use this H.O.P.E framework, but I don't delve into the past. The H.O.P.E framework for me is healing our present experiences. And so, as a licensed clinical professional social work supervisor, you help clients unpack past traumas and experiences as well as present day things.
Yeah.
From your perspective, why is it important to address both the past and the present experiences in healing work?
Absolutely. It's a little bit of what you said earlier, being able to identify how we got here to the present, right? So, like, let's just say the present is someone who's struggling with intimate relationships. Like, what happened here where you find yourself being a runner, or you find yourself having more of this avoidant attachment style? Like, let's talk about some of those primary relationships, mother, father, childhood, different things, different experiences. And a lot of times when we go back, we're able to uncover issues with rejection, self-esteem, abandonment. And it's like, oh, okay, so this is a defense mechanism. And so instead of us just saying like, hey, don't be avoidant, or hey, stop turning people off, or hey, stop leaving your relationships, we need to talk about what's fueling this, like what's the why behind this. And so a lot of times, like we said, going back to that original pain, and that is a journey in itself. And even when I meet my clients, I'll tell them like, hey, you're 35 or you're 40 or you're 20. You've been operating out of this space for all of your life, for as long as you can remember. So it's going to be a journey. It's going to be a process. So just being patient with yourself as we begin to do the work. And as long as you stay committed and faithful to you, you're going to see the results that you need to see. But it does take some time. But definitely going back to like, okay, what causes me to show up this way? And then we'll start to see, once we start to uncover, and now you're able to be mindful and intentional in how you're showing up to kind of heal, that present day experience.
I love that. So it sounds like to me what you're saying is therapy provides, what's scrolling on the screen right now, tools for you to address the root. The root. And the root is important to uproot and to be able to identify like, oh, that is a symptom of this root, so that you can move forward. And I also heard you say like, be patient with yourself. Like,
Yes.
I used to say a long time ago, like Alcatraz was not destroyed in one night, and the beautifulest place in the world that you could think of was not built in one day. So
Right.
like, give yourself grace. Give yourself
Yes.
grace. Grace
Yes.
in action is really difficult though.
It is. It's so hard at times. I even struggle with that sometimes, because sometimes I'm like, okay, well, we need to do this, having these high expectations of myself. But when I had to go back and think about, okay, where did this come from? that was learned behavior. You know, I grew up in a family where they had high expectations and you have to deliver, and we don't want to hear no sad story, and you're supposed to be strong, and why you brought to be home. And so when you think about it, you know, at times we have to go back and kind of like unlearn some things and have to tell ourselves a different narrative. Like, okay, if a B was the best you could do, you did your best. We're gonna take this B and we're just gonna celebrate as if it was an A plus. And so that thing of going back and like unlearning certain narratives too, yeah, it's a thing.
I think, like, so this is my year of being 35, and there has been so much that I'm like, oh my God, it was all a lie.
Yeah.
It was a lie. And I'm just like, chill. In present day, I'm still processing like, oh, but wait, you don't have to do that, because the why and why you did that thing was rooted in like a lie. Not a lie that someone told you maliciously, but it was just a generational lie passed down, that created these habits, or that added to this behavior that has now become a part of your character trait. But you don't have to keep it as a part of a character trait. You can do the work to unlearn and change that. But it
Yeah.
is difficult. It is difficult, and sometimes can make you feel like hopeless, kind
Yeah.
of, in a way. So that's why I personally believe in like the power of therapy, the power of like community, the power of getting together with a coach even, and like having that support, someone who has the ear to listen, but also the training and the education and the tools to be able to connect you and help you connect rather the dots where you need them connected, because that, I believe, is where the healing takes place. And being able to like call a thing, identify a thing, and being able to say, you know what, I
Yeah.
identified with that present day, but I don't want to identify with that anymore, and I
Right.
need help. And so
Right.
oftentimes that help comes with community. Um,
Yes. Yes. And I often say too, you know, some of our greatest acts of self-love is asking for help, and it's taking that time to love on ourselves. So it's not about how often you get your nails done or you get your hair done, or you know, you keep up with this outer appearance. Sometimes it's literally just asking for help, understanding that you're worthy of help. And I think too, on my journey, just in professionally and personally, I worry about people who have this narrative of me, myself, and I. I don't need nobody. Like, I'm good. I can fix me. I got it. I just need to be by myself. Not that we don't need moments of being by ourselves, you know, to kind of rejuvenate and just to be able to take the load off and just escaping, you know, from the world. But I don't think God created us to do life by ourselves, you know. So when you were talking about support and community, so for people who are like, okay, I don't want no therapist. Okay, you don't always have to have a therapist. You can go get a coach or talk to somebody that's, you know, that's experienced, or who's, you know, overcome some of the things that you're going through, you know, things like that. But making sure that you're reaching out for some type of support, even if it's a support group that's on Facebook, you know, how they have like moms who suffered with miscarriages and different things like that, you know, even if you have to post anonymously or things like that, but just making sure that you are staying connected to people who can encourage you and speak life into you and help you and give you some encouraging words and, you know, some tools that they've used to overcome some of the things that you're currently experiencing.
Absolutely. There is power in connection. And I agree with what you said. Like, I too believe that God didn't create us to do life alone. Like, he didn't. He didn't create us to be
Right.
doing this thing by ourselves. What? He knew how hard life was gonna be. Like,
Okay.
what? Doing it by myself. I may not have a friend, I might not have a loved one, I might
Right.
not have a boo, but I got a therapist, I got a
Right.
coach, I got a, a support group. We all have social media,
Yeah.
so use it to our advantage,
Yeah.
So we know September is Suicide Prevention Month,
Mhm.
and the Beauty Behind the Mirror started because of my own personal dealings with suicide ideation and suicide attempt. And so, not having a safe space to emote, not having a safe space or anybody that I felt like was safe to be able to talk to or confide in. Um, were the signs that, like, for me, that was like, oh no, something's wrong, actually thinking the thing before actually trying to live it out. What are some signs, from your professional viewpoint, that someone might be struggling silently, and how can friends and loved ones show support in a compassionate way to those people?
Yeah. I think it looks different sometimes depending on the individual, because we all use different methods of escape at times. But I
Yeah.
think any odd behavior, like, this person typically doesn't, don't engage in alcohol or drugs or, reckless behavior or different things like that, but you're seeing them excessively engage in these activities, that could be a telltale sign. The person who's usually like the life of the party, but they're withdrawing and they're isolating themselves, or even when people start getting rid of things like, hey, I have these shoes, or I'm getting rid of some of my favorite items, that is another big telltale sign that they are probably having some thoughts about doing something.
Yeah.
But I think it's this thing of, being mindful of our circle of our loved ones, checking in when you start to notice, just some changes in how they're speaking, in their communication, their energy, their train of thought, their conversations, things that they may be saying, like, I'm wondering, what life would be like if I was no longer here, or I feel like people would be better off if I wasn't here. And so I definitely think it's just identifying any type of behavior that's odd for them.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate that. I definitely agree. There are certain telltale signs, right? Like, I know for me, everybody's used to me being bubbly, used to me being like, hey girl, loud, obnoxious. That is just who I am. I have grown to love me. But
Right.
it was a journey to get here.
Yeah.
But I I don't think that I showed signs of being opposite of that, because I never was the person to, like,
Mhm.
reach out and say, hey, I'm struggling, or hey, I'm dealing with this. I was always the person to give the advice, to be like, no, you got this. And I could be really just struggling behind closed doors. But if my friend or my loved one come to me and they're like, I'm dealing with this or I'm dealing with that, bump what I got going on. Let me check into you right now. Let me help you out right now. And I think it created an environment for me where I felt like I couldn't, like, say, hey, I need help, or I couldn't show up as opposite because they're already down. So if I show up down, who gonna pick us up? So I started to, like, be down and, like, kind of show that version of me, if you will, behind closed doors when I was by myself. And then by the time I did reach out for the support, or I did speak up, I had led the people in my corner to believe that, like, I actually was okay
Yeah.
when really I wasn't.
Yeah.
So what would you say to the individual that's like me, at one point in my life, I made it difficult for my village to actually be able to identify, like, something being wrong, because I hid behind my smile,
Right.
behind my woo, and my personality, and
Yeah.
behind closed doors, I broke down.
That suffering in silence is a real thing, and it's so lonely.
Mhm.
Um, I would say for people who struggle with that, to find at least one person that you can trust. One person. It doesn't have to be your whole friend group, but one person, like, if you was to stop and say, like, hey girl, can I just talk to you for a second? That they will literally stop, drop, and roll just to hear from you.
Yeah,
Because if you're saying this, that typically, something is going on, right? I
yeah,
would say just to try it. But I think the narrative sometimes is they don't want to hear it. They don't have space for me. They got their own stuff going on. I don't want to be a burden. But I think we have to allow ourselves the gift of friendship, to not just know how to be a good friend, how to be a good sister, how to be a good daughter, how to show up well for other people, but to allow ourselves to receive that at times. Give people the space to show up and speaking to us, love on us, encourage us. And so even if it's just one person that who genuinely loves you and care, and you call and they're just like, okay, give me a minute, or I'm on the way, or let's meet up for lunch, and you allow that time to be just for you. Just
yeah. I love that. Allow yourself the gift of friendship, not just the gift of being a good friend, but the gift
right.
of receiving good friends.
Mhm.
That is, woo. a word.
Mhm.
That is a word. Self-sabotage, suffering in silence, all of those things, like feeling like you're not worthy of receiving good friendship,
Right.
but you are deserving of pouring out. Like
Right.
it's like an assessment of like, okay, how much do I actually love myself? Like
Right.
I love myself enough to give of myself, but I don't love myself to allow myself to receive.
Right.
And you just got to the root of the reality of why I was suffering in silence. That was my truth. Like I had a low sense of self-worth. I had a low sense of like what I deserved and what I felt like, you know, people could give me, because in my mind they got their own stuff going on. They don't have time or space for me. And when I came out on the other side of that thing,
Mhm.
and my village started finding out, like, wait,
Mhm.
what,
Mhm.
what? Even present day now, sharing parts of my story through Candid Conversations or just the posts or different things. Most people who were close to me then and are still close to me now are like, I, like
Right.
literally, like, because we had no idea. How dare you not let us in? So
Right.
present day, after doing my work to
Mhm.
learn to love myself and identifying like you love yourself, but you don't really love yourself to the depth of which you should love yourself.
Mhm.
And baby, I believe in therapy, honey. Me and my
Mhm.
therapist go together real bad. Real bad. And I'll be like, I need an appointment.
Listen, it's like that. It's like that.
Yes. And so we worked through that thing. And so now I'm able to identify like, oh,
Mhm.
you're
Mhm.
actually not reaching out to your village. You're actually not
Mhm.
talking. You're actually not speaking up for yourself. And
Mhm.
that is a byproduct of the root of
Mhm.
low sense of self-love. And so what are we
Mhm.
going to do? What are the tools that you have that work for you? You need to
Mhm.
open your mouth and talk, young lady.
Yeah. But
um,
I think it's also equally important for those friends who know you have that friend who's always there for you to be intentional to check up on them. Like,
yeah,
hey, we always talking about my stuff, girl. What you got going on? What's happening in your life? How's work? How's your relationships? How's this going? To be intentional, to pause and to ask them, because you do have some people who don't really know how to start those conversations about themselves. And so I think, that responsibility can be shared of making sure that you do open up your mouth and you talk, but that the
yeah.
friends are checking in on you as well.
I absolutely agree with that, because the weight, it's a relationship, right? Like, you're not gonna be in your relationship with your boo like, oh, you do all the work and I'm gonna just be over
Right.
here and chill. It's two. It takes two people, and the same maintenance that we would do in our romantic relationship, we have to extend that same maintenance and perspective to our friendships as well. We could talk about that, honey, too, forever, because and as a matter of fact, we probably will.
Yeah, let's do it.
We probably will, because my goodness, the forgiveness that we offer our spouses, we don't offer that same forgiveness to our friends. We be quick to be like, and
Yeah.
I'm talking about me, like me. Like I had to like, wait a minute, what
Mhm.
is going on? Like,
Mhm.
you really loved that person. Why did you
Right.
stop talking to them?
Right.
Because I got in my head and I felt like I did wrong and I couldn't come back from the wrong and I knew they
Mhm.
weren't gonna forgive me.
Mhm.
So I'm just gonna cut it off.
Mhm.
Why?
Mhm. Mhm.
Why?
Listen, I too, I've experienced that as well. And it took me realizing a couple of things. One, good people are hard to come by. Keep living. You're going to really start to see that some of these people, not your friends, but the ones who were your friends, you could have been a little bit more long suffering. And that was something that I struggled with. It was just
Yeah.
like, okay, this is too much. You want to go your way and not go my way. We could just do that. But the second part to that is something that I like to share with my clients is having a toolbox. And like,
Mhm.
in a regular toolbox, you got a hammer, you got some pliers, you got some nails, you got a screwdriver. You don't always have to reach for this same coping skill or same conflict resolution all the time. Everything doesn't call for you having to cut somebody off.
Yeah.
Sometimes y'all may need to take a step back and then revisit the conversation and be vulnerable. But I think we're more committed in those intimate relationships and romantic relationships than friendships. We feel like that's, I can get another friend, you know. But this
Mm-hmm.
boo over here, you know, this is one of a kind. So I'm gonna do a little bit more to keep this one. So I think that commitment level in relationships, you know, has to be there.
I
The hard things and not just the brunches and the going on trips and massage and spa days. Like, no, when you hurt me or when you offend me, that I know your heart and that I extend some grace there, you know, because a lot of times when you're cutting off your support system like that and you're thinking you're depressed, but really you're lonely because you don't have that sense of connection with other people. And that is definitely needed. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I need to like invest in like the boom sounds every time a gem is dropped because yes, like our emotional world is, I believe, made up of things that we have no control over or no say in, and then also things that we have had a hand in. And
Yeah.
together, those things can either be really beautiful
Mhm.
or really ugly.
Mhm.
And once we start to unpack or get to the root of those things, whichever end of the spectrum it is so important that we learn from them, that we dig into our toolkit, that we, be open to trying new things so that we don't fall in the same loops or in the same cycles as before, or create a lonely environment for ourselves. Um, yeah, I love that what you said. Like sometimes you'll think you're depressed and really you're just lonely because
Yeah.
you have cut off all relationships in your life by way of just not learning the art of forgiveness, learning the beauty of forgiveness,
Mhm.
and really taking assessment or like having an assessment of like, do I value this person? Like
Right.
ultimately, like I feel like a lot of individuals who deal with loneliness in their hopeless seasons can really, really, really circumvent that by asking themselves the following question before they cut people off.
Mhm.
Do I value this person?
Right.
Not what did they do to me? How did
Right.
they make me feel?
Right.
But do I value them? And if you value them, your value shouldn't be based on what they do for you,
Right.
but it should be a balance of both, like what you
Right.
do for them, what you add to their life, and
Mhm.
what they add to your life. And if
Mhm.
you value a person, you will treat it different. If you value
Right.
a thing, I value my phone. Maybe I'm not going to just throw my phone across the
Right.
room, no matter how upset I am. And when
Right.
I accidentally drop my phone, which I did, it's so cracked up. But when I accidentally drop my phone, that
Mhm.
thing hurts. I'll be like, oh
Yeah.
my goodness. And
Mhm.
so we should do that same thing when it comes to our relationships
Mhm.
and the people in our lives. I love
Mhm.
so much that you said that because it's
Mhm.
going to make a difference in those hopeless seasons. And
Mhm.
we all go through hopelessness. We all go through
Mhm.
hopeless seasons, the feeling of that. And
Mhm.
so we want to make sure that we are being good stewards of people that we have in our lives.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. I like that you said that. Um, and I think we have to have a realistic expectations of what relationships actually look like. It's going to be tough at times. It's going to be a little uncomfortable at times. So when you meet that person at the nail salon and you're like, "Oh girl, you seem cool. Let's go to lunch." You know how it is, those beginning stages of meeting a new friend and different things, and y'all are on this journey to getting to know each other and talk. You have to be committed to the hard parts too. Like the parts
Yeah.
of them you're gonna see that's gonna be like, "Oh, I don't really like that," you know. But is this like a deal breaker in a friendship, or you know, that's just a quirk of theirs, right? So
Mhm.
having realistic expectations, like it's not gonna always be selfies and those cute moments all the time. And I think that
Mhm.
that's where a lot of people mess up when it comes down to just throwing away friendships and relationships. Your expectations of this was not realistic. I'm not going to be a perfect person. Neither are you. So yeah.
Absolutely. I love that you said that. Perfection is not real,
Nope.
y'all. Perfection is not real. We are talking about the power of hope, y'all. And even in the power of hope, perfection is not real.
Mhm,
Like you can't expect to be hopeful,
mhm,
to
mhm,
be hopeless all the time, nor
mhm,
should you expect your journey through emotional wellness, ups, downs, life, relationships, friendships, to be perfect.
Right.
To be perfect. It's not gonna be perfect, it's not real. So I love that you made that a point to say, you know. So I have another question for you. If there's a listener that's listening today or that's watching today's episode or in the live room with us, and they're in a dark place and they're feeling like they've lost hope, what would you want them to hear right now?
Give it to tomorrow. Like, give it to tomorrow. Like, hold off, give it to tomorrow. Because it's not going to always be like this. So you could commit to not making any decisions about anything for this moment. Like, give it to tomorrow. Let's see how you feel in the morning. Because it's hard right now, but it's not going to always be like this. One of my favorite scriptures, passages in the Bible is in Ecclesiastes, right? When they talk about there's a time for everything. Like, there's going to be a time for mourning. There's going to be a time for joy. It's going to be a time to harvest, and it's going to be a time. It's going to pass. This season is not going to always be like this. So if you're there now, great, good. Because that means the only way up is up, right? It's not going to be this way forever. So just hold on. You're needed. You're valued. You're not here just because God just needed somebody else to be here. You have a purpose. You mean something to somebody, even if it's just one person. And so I would just say, give it to tomorrow. Like, just hold on. Just hold on. Reach out to somebody that you love. Journal about it. Pray about it. Cry about it. Yell about it. Get it out. But just hold on to tomorrow.
I love that so much. Hold on to tomorrow because you are needed. And the tides always turn. The tides always turn. They always turn. And I too, I'll never forget, I came across that Bible verse last year when I was kind of like reading the Bible, I went through the whole Bible. And so last year when I got to Ecclesiastes and I saw that, I was like, that was the start of it was all a lie. Like, because in school, even like they tell you, like, because there's in that book, it shows or tells, like, do many things, like, because you never know what is going to stick. And so if you are, and I am not quoting y'all, so I'm putting in Shakira words, but go read it for yourself. But it tells you do many things, because if you, let's say you try to do one thing, like, let's say I just want to be an author, so I'm just writing books, but in me, I'm also a singer, I'm also a songwriter, I'm also a coach, I'm also all these things. Imagine how many years of my life it's gonna take me to get through every single thing if I'm trying one thing at a time. Do many things, because you never know which one is gonna stick, and your life is gonna be behind in the event that you're just trying one thing at a time. Like, we are not a monolith. Like, we were not created to be a monolith. But I just love what you said. Like, and connecting it back to Bible is just gonna always be tea for me. So it's just gonna always be tea for me. But absolutely, hold on to tomorrow. Keep living, and understand that your life has purpose. You are not here by mistake, but absolutely by design. And you are not in this season of your life by mistake, but absolutely by design. So if you hold on and you press forward, like, who knew, out of my years of depression, years of lack of sense of self-worth, suicide attempts, suicide ideation, heartbreak, and all of the things, that Beauty Beyond the Mirror would even be here. Candid Conversations would even be here. You know, like, who knew? There's beauty in every part of your story. You just gotta get through the mud. Get through the mud.
Yeah,
Can you
absolutely.
share a success story without breaking confidentiality of someone who has moved from pain to healing by addressing past or present experiences?
I would use myself. I would use myself. Being a teen mom, having my son at 19, and that came with its own journey of trials and tribulations and pain, and having to see myself differently outside of shame. and understanding more about my worth and my value, and also self-esteem, right? And understanding what my strength was. And so having to overcome some of the narratives or the things that were said about me or the things that was placed on me, then now being 35 and literally having to see like how far that I've come from doing my own therapy and my relationship with God, and having to pray and write out some things and be able to identify like, okay, what's some of that stuff is this 19-year-old and what's 35? Because sometimes that part of us that's wounded still shows up in how we respond to certain situations. And this was like, wow, I feel like I overreacted. Well, that probably wasn't 35-year-old you. That probably was 7-year-old you or 10-year-old you when that trauma first occurred. And so I would say myself, being able to be now a woman who can walk in places with her head held high, understanding that the choices and the decisions that I made in my past doesn't define me, and being able to see the beauty in it. So to not promote teen pregnancy, but to let people know that that's not the end of your story, and that there's healing there that comes with that, and there's redemption there, and that story itself is a beautiful thing, a very beautiful thing. So
absolutely, I love that. I love that so much. Your life is the fruit. Absolutely, like your life is the fruit. And I think that, number one, thank you for your vulnerability, your transparency, and sharing your story. I know from being around you and being like gifted with the gift of being in your space, and like just understanding, like learning to understand like how your brain works, and like how do you keep going? Like you just keep ascending and ascending and ascending, and it just be like your start. I don't want to say it was a bad start, because it wasn't a bad start, but maybe other people could see it as disadvantaged because of your mom and your baby. But I love so much how you took being a teen mom, and baby, you became a boss teen mom. And not just because of the accolades, but because of the healing that you opened yourself up to experience and explore. And not only did you go for your healing, you reached back and you like, you know what? I want other people to experience this healing and this freedom and this joy. And you do it whether you're working or not working. Because I've never booked a session with you officially, but I remember coming to your house and crying and just doing the most, and having that time with you, and like walking away feeling like, you know what, God, she just restored my hope in a friend. She just restored my hope in life. She just gave me so much remembrance of like, there is purpose in you. Like, this is the season. Girl, now come on over here. We're going to do this karaoke. We're going to cook. We're going to do we're going to pray, and we're going to move on. We're not about to dwell on that. And it's like, it's so needed. It's so needed to be able to have like that safe space to experience the pain, but then also to have like tangible, I was there and look at me now. Because as you said earlier, I reached back to understand and unpack those roots. I gave myself grace. And if I blocked my village out, I opened it back up so that I don't have to experience this life thing by myself. I love that so much. I love it so much.
Yes. I think we all have to remember that we're limited beings, so even when I think about all of the things that I've accomplished, I'm still fully aware that it was of God, all God, his power, his strength, him being that motivating factor within me to continue to keep going, because life does get hard, but just remembering that we're limited beings. So we always have to depend on something that's greater than ourselves. And mine just happened to be Jesus. Okay.
Hello?
Listen, I can't do without him.
I love that. I love that. It's so important. Spirituality plays a role in our lives. And it's just gonna be important that we understand, and that we believe in, and that we glean from a source that is bigger than us. Whether it's Jesus, whether it's God, whether it's your ancestors, whether it is spirit, whether it's whoever you believe in, whatever practice that you do, baby, you better zone in because on this journey, you're gonna need it. You're gonna need it. So I have an announcement to make during today's episode. I actually wrote my very first book. It is called the Hope Emotional Wellness Workbook, and it is now available right now on the beautybeyondthemirror.org. This book is, I'm just really excited, nervous and excited. However, we are doing the things. We are not being afraid to be seen trying. We are putting it out there. But this is my framework that I have used with my coaching clients over the years to actually help them go from pain to purpose, to actually help them journey through their emotional wellness. This is something that I still use in my own life to this day. It is not promised to be magic. It is not promised to cure you of anything, but it is promised to serve as a tool and a resource to help you on your journey. Okay. So let me put that out there. We ain't doing hocus pocus. Okay. It's not just going, oh, let me get this book and everything's going to be great. You have to put in the work. And as Antoinette said, you have to give yourself grace on the journey because it's not going to happen overnight. So, from your professional lens, and Antoinette, why is having frameworks and resources like HOPE, healing our present experiences, important for people outside of therapy sessions?
I think because when we think about therapy, you know, you're not going to, that's not something that you're doing every day, all day long, right? And so some people, they may go to therapy once a week or, you know, once every 2 weeks or something like that. And so having different workbooks that can really help outside of therapy. That is you still taking time and making yourself a priority. So you're still, this is just a part of your journey. So we don't even want to become too dependent on therapy because we want our strength to be within ourselves and still seeing therapy as a resource. So workbooks is just an additional resource. And so I'm a big advocate for workbooks and different things like that. I can't wait to see it so I can share it with some of my clients. I cannot wait. But yes, these type of things are important. It keeps you on your journey. So when you're home after a long day of work and you know you have some time and you don't feel like turning on the television, you can get your workbook and pace yourself and take some time to just love on yourself. So yeah, I advocate for workbooks. They're very needed in addition to therapy.
Well, thank you for that. Y'all heard it from the professional. Okay. Get your copy today at the beautybeyondthemirror.org. Yeah, I'm super excited. It's out there. It's out there with y'all. Y'all have it now. Be kind. Be kind. So, Antoinette, what I want to know from you is what do you have going on? Tell the people where they can find you, where they can book a session with you, how they can book a session, how can they become your clients so that they can uproot the roots.
Absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram, which is roots.therapy.llc. Sorry, y'all, I get tongue tied real easy. I'm a country girl, okay? So healing.roots.therapy.llc. You can find me on Instagram or you can Google me. I'm on almost all the therapy platforms, which is Healing Roots Therapy. You can reach out or you can give me a call, 803-258-6132. That's my business line. Feel free to give me a call. Right now, I'm working on some workbooks. 803-258-6132. I too am in the process of working on some workbooks. It is tailored to rejection. So healing that rejection wound and working on just seeing life through different lenses, you know, versus those who fear rejection or abandonment. And so you can look out for that soon. I'm also taking people, social workers who are in need of supervision. You can give me a call at that same number, reach out to me on Instagram. So yeah, those are the things that I have going on.
Yay! I have a question. If I live in any state, can I come to you as a client?
So right now I'm licensed in South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, Virginia, Vermont. And I think that's it. So if you're in any of those states, yes. But if it's non-therapeutic needs and you're just needing some life coaching, then you can be in any state and I'll be able to work with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I know a few people actually who will be hitting you up in the
Okay.
North Carolina area for
Okay.
supervision.
Okay.
Um, so be on the lookout for that.
Okay.
That's super exciting. I just think it's just an honor to know you. It's an honor to like just to know someone as Black Girl Magic as you are, honey. You do all the things, but as beautiful as you are on the outside, you are equally as beautiful inside as well. And I just thank you so much for reaching back into our community and actually like normalizing what should have been normal coming up, which is just talking to someone for help, talking to someone and leaning on someone because hope, as you said, it's not something that, it doesn't always, it's not always there. And
Right.
sometimes we need to glean from those in our community to actually get hope or to feel hope or to feel that hope met cup back up or reach into our toolkit for different things in order to be able to support us on our hope journey. Y'all make sure her information is scrolling on the screen right now. For those of you who are listening by way of Apple or Spotify on the podcast, you can find her on Instagram at healing.roots.therapy.llc, or you can call 803-258-6132. Contact her today, Antoinette Nipper, okay? Remember the name. And my girl said, Google me. Google me. If you don't remember nothing else, Google her. I want to thank you so much again for being back on Beauty Beyond the Mirror. It's a beautiful thing to be able to like invite people to come and share space, but I've never had a guest come back a second time. And so the fact that you were my very first guest and now you're back for season 2, episode 10, it's like we're doing things. We're gonna keep going. And you're gonna come back again.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just want to thank you so much. Butterflies, I want to thank you as well for tuning in live, as well as for those of you who are listening to this or watching this playback via YouTube. Before we go, y'all know we got a call to action, okay? Healing our past and present experiences is not just possible, it's necessary in order for us to live fully. So, if today's episode resonated with you, I encourage you to do two things. I want you to do two things. The first one is I want you to check in with yourself and someone that you love. Sometimes the smallest conversation can save a life. Sometimes just saying, hey, girl, just thinking about you. Hey, girl, I just want to make sure everything is okay. And not settling for just the, oh, I'm okay, but actually digging deep, asking the questions, sticking around for the answer can make the world of a difference. The second thing I want you to do is if you yourself are struggling in any way, shape, fashion, or form, I want you to reach out to this licensed social worker, clinical professional supervisor on this line. And I want you to reach out to her for support. If you are not in one of the states that she mentioned, she said she's also a life coach. So reach out to her for life coaching as well. It works one and the same. You can also reach out to me for emotional wellness coaching and support. And you can grab your copy of the Wellness Workbook. Hope Emotional Wellness Workbook is available now. I hope that anybody listening to this or watching this who struggles with suicide ideation or thoughts of suicide know that you are fully loved, you are fully supported, you are needed in this world. There is nothing wrong with you, as in you were created with lack or, something ill. You are normal. You are a human being. And there is support available for you. You can dial 988 today, any day. There's people on the other end of that phone who will support you confidentially and who will be there with you to journey with you through that moment that you are having. And then, as an additional tool to dialing 988, you connect with a social worker, a therapist, or a coach who is trained to support you in your journey. I hope that each of you know that you are beautifully loved, that you are abundantly blessed, and baby, that you are heavily protected. And don't you ever Let nobody, including life, make you feel otherwise. Antoinette, thank you so much for being with us today.
Yes,
Y'all
thank you
make
for
sure that
having
y'all
me.
follow her. Follow her, and follow the Beauty Beyond the Mirror if you are not. And we will see y'all next month for another episode.
Yes.